Diamond P Sports presents championship drag racing from the National Hot Rod Association. The 1980 U.S. Nationals. Brought to you by Goodyear Arriva, a steel-belted radial so new, even its footprint tells you it's different. And by Fram, makers of oil, air, and fuel filters, windshield wipers, and Autolite spark plugs. And by Suzuki Motorcycles. When it comes to all-around performance, nobody outperforms Suzuki. An enthusiastic crowd of over 100,000 people is jammed into the spacious facilities of Indianapolis Raceway Park for an exciting weekend of racing with the 26th annual U.S. Nationals. Nowhere is that panorama of speed more evident than in funny car racing. The number one qualifier, the Blue Max of Raymond Beadle. 5.96 seconds. Filling the number two spot, the Hawaiian of Roland Leong, the driver Ron Colson, the time 6 seconds flat. Number three with a 6.02, the Showtime Corvette of Tom Hoover. Number four, Joe Pisano's car, driven by young Tom Ridings, to a clocking of 6.03 seconds. The number five qualifier, Mike Hamby's War Eagle, Dale Poldy up, the time 6.04. As incredible as the times for the first five drivers are in Funny Car Eliminator, let's look at the rest of the field. There's the low 8 qualifiers, 6.06 for John Force. The second 8 in the 16-car field, Lennon Brogno on the bubble, 6.10. Only 14 hundredths of a second separating the entire field, the fastest field in the history of championship drag racing. Working with me at the Nationals is Steve Evans, and he knows why.
Dave, there are funny car races all over this country where low ET of the event wouldn't even qualify here this weekend at the U.S. Nationals. We asked some of the funny car drivers why this is the quickest field in history.
I just think the funny cars have stayed on top of their stuff a lot better than a lot of the other cars, and that way they've progressed a lot more. But the track is excellent. I think we would have probably even seen a few quicker times if the temperature had been a little bit cooler.
Well, they really take care of the racetrack here. I mean, it's the smoothest racetrack in the United States, there's no doubt, all the way to the finish line.
It's just the ideal track conditions and the fact that everybody's given it a maximum effort.
So it's no surprise to you that we have the quickest field in funny car history?
No, this was expected ahead of time. And in fact, going into the race, I had picked the bump spot at 6:09. I think that's where it's going to end up.
Well, the racers don't seem very surprised, do they, at the quickness of the field? But why should they be? The greatest cars in drag racing for the most important titles, the U.S. Nationals, maybe even world titles on the line, on one of the greatest drag strips in the country. So let's get ready for the finest funny car drag racing we've ever seen.
We're ready, Steve. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and we'll be back with the start of funny car racing at the U.S. Nationals in just a moment. We're at the granddaddy of all drag races, the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. And as the Diamond P fans give a wave to our cameras, we're watching the skies become a little bit more threatening. We're starting into the second round of funny car eliminations. But earlier today, we'll go back and take a look at what happened in round number one, where the number one qualifier, the reigning world champion, Raymond Beadle, and the Blue Max, was matched against Roy Harris. Out of Trenton, New Jersey, comes Harris and Tom Ryan racing. Raymond Beadle into the wheel stand, the tire smoke, he heads to the guardrail, and here goes Roy Harris on the upset of the race. Raymond Beadle in qualifying had 2 5-second elapsed times, but when it came to a limit, and Roy Harris, his parachute did not open. He's got the car slowed, he misses the catch net, going slow enough that he can take a right turn and come to a safe stop. But for Raymond Beadle, one of the biggest disappointments of his career, he has absolutely intimidated funny car racing during qualifying, but when it came to eliminations, a little bit too much power, a little bit too much clutch, and the upset win goes to Roy Harris. Ron Colson, the number 2 qualifier in the near lane, driving for Roland Leong, is up against the former world champion 4 times in a row. This man won it, Don Prudhomme, but he's had his troubles this weekend. He qualified in the second half of the field in this race. In round number 1, it's got to be Ron Colson, the favorite. And Prudhomme extends his lead from the moment they let the clutch out. And it is a big win for Don Prudhomme at 6.13 seconds to a very slow 7:07 for Ron Colson. As we watch, we see nothing obviously wrong, but something must have been the matter with Ron Colson's car because it just did not produce the power. With Don Prudhomme, let's join Steve Evans.
I never thought I'd come down here to the Snake and Victory and say, what an upset.
Yeah, kid, this whole race is an upset. Beadle went out first round. I beat just the Hawaiian. You just never know about drag racing, do you?
And Billy Meyer, I think you race him next round?
Fine. That's
you
fine.
both ran 6:13, so we'll have to go to the tower, I guess, and find out what the next digit is.
Yeah, he'll be tough. He'll be tough.
Okay, congratulations. It's been a tough weekend, huh?
You bet, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, Don Prudhomme, who early in the going of this race didn't even have his cars. It was broken down in its truck in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He spent 2 fidgety days with no race car to drive. And here he goes into round number 2 with the Blue Max out.
And Steve, with a 6.13 second elapsed time, he is certainly right up there with everybody now. Don Prudhomme back on his game. Still in the first round of racing, Tim Gross from St. Joseph, Michigan, up against Dale Poldy. Poldy driving the War Eagle. One of those top 5 qualifiers is Poldy in the near lane, but the win goes to Tim Gross as we find the top qualifiers falling very quickly in round number 1 racing. Watching again, Tim Gross leaving the starting line right side by side with Dale Poldy. Poldy, the lower qualifier, has to be considered the favorite, but as we've seen already, favorites mean nothing here at the Nationals as Tim Gross takes the big first round win. Walking over is Poldy shaking hands with Tim Gross. And I'm sure Dale Poldy very dejected as we head into the second round of racing. We'll take a look at some of the drivers. Here's Roy Harris. This is Tim Gross, the man we just saw win the race in round number 1. Ed the Ace McCulloch. From Sanger, California. From Phoenix, Arizona, Trip Shoemake. Billy Meyer calls Waco, Texas home. Don Prudhomme, the 4-time world champion, many-time Nationals champion. Tom Ridings driving Joe Pisano's car. And Len Imbrogno, the number 16 qualifier. This is round number 2, and it is Roy Harris against Tim Gross. Harris in the far lane. This is Gross. We saw earlier this season on our Diamond P coverage of the Spring Nationals when Tim Gross had a horrifying crash, and he's certainly got to be considered for the comeback driver of the year. Roy Harris driving for Tom Ryan. With the wheels in the air goes Roy Harris. He's next to the guardrail. Tim Gross is somewhat out of control, but Roy Harris recovers first and takes the win. A relatively slow 6.31 seconds, but the time means nothing as the all-important win light comes on for Roy Harris. As we watch once again, you see the wheels in the air for Roy Harris. And once again, he gets very close to that guardrail. Close to the center line is Tim Gross. Tim having to back out of it. I'm sure some memories of that horrible crash at Columbus earlier this year were in Tim Gross's mind when he had to back out. This is Tim Gross coming out of his car on the return road. Out the escape hatch and just a little bit dejected. With the winner, let's join Steve.
Well, here's Roy Harris, who had the seemingly impossible task of getting around the Blue Max. You did that, and that's 2 down now.
Well,
2 more.
Okay. You look like you got awful close to the guardrail. Were you concerned about that?
I couldn't see it. The car was shaking so bad I didn't know I was that close to it.
So it blurs your vision that badly?
Oh yeah, I knew it was over there, but I didn't feel it hit anything, so I kept going because I couldn't see him. That's what I was looking for. So.
This is Ed the Ace McCullough driving for the Super Shops. Ed had raced Tom Hoover in round number 1, one of the low qualifiers. Hoover went out with a broken transmission, was unable to complete the run, and McCullough had an easy go of it. This is Johnny Loper's car from Phoenix, driven by Trip Shoemake. 2 of the best of the Western funny cars. Both cars into the staging beam. The green light is on in a close race off the starting line. But Ed McCullough extends his lead and wins the race. 6.25 seconds his speed, over 234 miles an hour. As we watch this race again, elapsed time is the amount of time it takes to go from the starting line to the finish line, 1,320 feet or 1/4 of a mile away.
Boy, Ace, this has got to remind you of an earlier chapter in your career back in the early 70s when you owned not only this race, but all of funny car racing. Feels good.
Oh, it's great, Steve. We're having a hard time today running in this air. There just isn't any. And I mean, everybody's off the pace a little bit, but
because of the humidity?
Really. I mean, so there's just no air here, you know?
Somebody said the birds weren't even flying. There was such little air.
That's about it, buddy. But we're sneaking up on it a little bit, you know. I don't know. I think it just run a 20-something then. So we run Prudhomme, or whoever wins this round, next round. So we'll see who's got lane choice.
Right, let's go back to Dave McClellan and see who indeed wins between Billy Meyer and Don Prudhomme, one of the key races of the day.
Steve, the railbirds around the racetrack are saying the winner of this race is the probable winner of Funny Car Eliminator. No more important race in this second round as Billy Meyer in the far lane comes up against Don Prudhomme. By 1,000th of a second, Prudhomme had run quicker in round number 1. That gave him the lane choice. He took the left-hand lane. It's difficult to tell if there is any advantage as to the lanes themselves. The huge crowd looking on intently as all the concentration from Meyer and Prudhomme is on the start, and it's very even for both drivers. And Billy Meyer pulls it out, 6.18 seconds for Billy Meyer to defeat Don Prudhomme. In our replay, we watch as Don Prudhomme begins to pull ahead in the middle of the course, but then the hard charge by Billy Meyer pulls it out just a few hundred feet from the finish line.
Dave, on Billy Meyer's car, there was a water line broken. Had that happened on the starting line, there'd have been water under a tire, which could have been disastrous for Billy Meyer, but apparently it happened past the finish line, and it's no problem. In 1974, Billy Meyer raced Don Prudhomme, and this did happen on the starting line, the broken water. Congratulations. Anytime you drive around the snake, boy, you've earned one.
Yeah, mine started shaking. He came right by me. I was very surprised that I went back around him because, you know, you never go around Don that often.
Well, I don't know if you've had time to do the mathematics, but if you can get one more win light, get into the final round, you will have passed Beetle for the Funny Car World Championship points lead.
That's what I like to do. Go one round at a time. Tell me how far I go after I win the next round.
Okay, Billy Meyer just taking them one at a time, Dave.
And one at a time for Don Prudhomme. Not many smiles in the Snake's pit at this point. Tom Ridings in the near lane out of Long Beach, California, drives for Joe Pisano. As the threatening weather continues to look worse, Len Imbrogno backs up Kenny Thornburg's Centurion. Imbrogno from Elyria, Ohio, is also a comeback driver as he had the misfortune of smacking the guardrail at the Gator Nationals earlier this year. You also saw that on our Diamond P Sports coverage. But the car is back together, repaired, a new vehicle for Len Imbrogno, and he is in round number 2 at the U.S. Nationals against Tom Ridings. And he's got a lead right off the starting line. Ridings close to the center, but Tom Ridings coming from behind, 6.15 seconds at 240 miles an hour when he crossed that finish line. What a charge at the tail end of the race by Tom Ridings. Right there, you see at the end of the race as It is Tom Ridings from behind over Len Imbrogno, and back at the starting line, a friendly hug for a track official from Top Fuel driver Shirley Muldowney. We'll be seeing them next as we return here to Indianapolis Raceway Park and the U.S. Nationals.